Hey everyone, welcome back to Immediate Movie Reactions. I'm here after watching Hokum. This is a new folk horror movie from Damien McCarthy, an Irish filmmaker who is getting a lot of buzz. I have not, unfortunately, seen any of his other work. There was a film, I believe, called Oddity last year that was on Shudder that got some really rave reviews. Have not had a chance to catch it yet. And, I might check it out after this. This film does star Adam Scott, and he is an author and just kind of an unlikable bastard, right? And we start the film out with him finishing up a series of books, and it's a very bleak ending with conquistadors and some stuff that I don't want to get too deep into it because it may give some of the movie away. But we find that his parents have also died, and so he decides, as a cathartic moment, he's going to go back to where they had their honeymoon, this hotel in Ireland, and he's going to spread their ashes. What he ends up in is this Lynchian murder mystery, also ghost story, filled with odd characters and dead girls and all sorts of crazy stuff going on. Because Adam Scott, as he gets there, he's a dick to everybody. I think that Adam Scott is sort of living his best nerd life right now, and good for him. He's been in some amazing things. I'm not sure that this movie is it, but it's okay. It's pretty good. What happens is he kind of makes friends sort of with a young lady who works at the hotel, and she explains that there is a witch that is trapped in the honeymoon suite and the hotel is haunted. And unfortunately, what we see is that maybe Adam Scott is just crazy. Maybe none of this is happening. There's a lot of unfortunate circumstances where all the scare is basically him looking into a shadow and then maybe seeing a figure, or it's a dark room and then boom, there's somebody behind him. Oh no! And I hate to sound so jaded, but unfortunately, that is the most that this movie has to scare. For a while, I was thinking that this is sort of like Hereditary, which creates this just constant sense of dread. I don't think it's as elevated. I do not think it's nearly as good. There are some really effective moments in this. I have said it before, and I will say it again, that horror movies and scary movies happen to people who make stupid decisions. I couldn't help but think through this entire movie that the whole thing would be fucking over. And there are several points in this movie that it could have been resolved with none of this happening. If anyone had a cell phone, 2026, how does nobody have a cell phone when these people are trapped in the hotel and there's stuff going on? Even if they're going to say, oh, there's a witch's spell and it's keeping the service or whatever, I don't know. That would have been stupid too. But the idea that nobody had a phone and that they're crawling around through these dark rooms with a lantern that, of course, guess what? It doesn't really work. It keeps going out, so he has to keep hitting it. All right, so I'm getting ahead of myself. The girl goes missing. Adam Scott decides he's going to figure out what's going on, and he gets trapped in the hotel, and then there's a witch there, but then, sorry, spoiler, maybe there's not a witch there, and maybe there's just something else weird going on. The murder and the mystery of this is kind of the coolest thing, even though it doesn't let you really figure it out. It eventually just says, hey, this is what happened. And unfortunately, that sucks. But there is enough mystery that is still left, and I think that there are some highly effective moments. I did not find this movie very scary. I was going to go see this with my wife, and I looked it up on Google, and it said, pervasive dread and, the scariest movie and all that sort of thing. And walking out of the theater, there were lots of people that were like, holy shit, that movie was scary, and I don't even want to walk to my car and stuff like that. I don't know. It felt like a very by the books sort of horror movie, especially a folk horror. It doesn't really explain too much about the witch, whether the witch is really there or not. There's this whole cheesy bit where it's like, well, they're true, they're real, except that people can't believe them or something. Just doesn't really make a lot of sense, and unfortunately kind of sets up this premise at the end that maybe it was all a dream. I don't know. It was fine. It was decent. It was a good ghost story. It was a good ghost movie. I wish it were a little more Twin Peaks. I wish there was a little more to the mystery. I wish the scares were more than just, oh, look, behind her shoulder, there's a face, right? Like, it's just that kind of cheesy, silly scare that we don't need. The sound design is excellent. The music is excellent. It does get loud and aggravating at certain points. There are some laughable moments, unfortunately, I felt in this. It doesn't hold up the way, say, a Hereditary does, but I think it's still one of the better horror scary movies that I have seen in a while. I'm going to give it a 7 only because I really do like Adam Scott. I really do like what they tried here. I like that sort of that bottle episode feel of it. But I feel like maybe they tried to get a little bit too clever in certain areas, but they lost it in the just kind of rote cliche scares. So there we are. It's a 7. I think that if you like this type of movie, you're going to really enjoy it. If you see just a ton of them, there's not going to be a whole lot that's really new in this. If you want a movie about a witch, go watch The Witch, right? That's a much better movie. Or The Autopsy of Jane Doe. I thought that those were much superior films than this, which feels like maybe McCarthy is building to being one of those star directors in the horror genre. We'll see. Anyways, I went much longer than I intended, so I appreciate you all for sticking around. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you after the next movie.